I apologize in advance if I don't sound like myself. I've got COVID-19 and dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, it sucks. What is going on everyone? My name is Jason and this is the 2022 iPhone SE 1 month later. Okay, so there's a really popular sentiment out there right now that honestly I think it does deserve a certain amount of validity to it that essentially suggests that smartphones are all starting to look and feel the same and innovation in this area has kind of hit its peak. And you can see that in the latest iterative updates around the most popular flagship phones today, though they're still enticing enough to generate a lot of interest and sales. It's kind of fair to say that we haven't been wowed in a while. So with that perspective in mind, let's talk about the new 2022 iPhone SE. You want to talk about a phone that's seen minimal growth? It's going to be hard to beat this device. I've already done a comprehensive review on this guy. You can check out the card in the corner in case you guys missed it. But I've been using the new SE for about a month now, and there are definitely components to it that I think are great, and other parts of it that I really don't care for. So today I want to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly behind the new 2022 iPhone SE 1 month later to help you decide if it's the right phone for you. Now before we get into the review, in case you're new here, I'm Jason. I would really appreciate it if you take a quick second to press that thumbs up button. It really does help out solo creators like myself and it helps the video get a little bit more traction, so please help a brother out. And in case you're a tech junkie like me, I make a video like this every single week, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all the reviews. Okay, first, let's start positive, and by far my favorite thing about the new 2022 iPhone SE 1 month later has got to be the camera quality. Now this phone may be extremely limited when it comes to the camera hardware. I mean, it's one camera on the back and one camera on the front, and it's the same camera components that are found in the fairly dated iPhone 8. But what it lacks in hardware, it more than makes up for it with what the SE could do with its software. So one of the things the new SE seems to have adopted is Apple's latest computational photography enhancements. And you could see when comparing images between it and the way more expensive iPhone 13 Pro, which arguably has the best cameras on any phone right now, it's strikingly similar. Colors are punchy and super accurate, dynamic range is fantastic, and you could also take advantage of the new stylized camera settings for a specific look. You still get portrait mode on the new SE despite only having one camera on both front and back, and they come out pretty great. Now the main reason why the cameras can be so feature packed is because of the SE's upgrade to the very powerful A15 Bionic processor, which gives it the horsepower that the phone needs to make these image processing tricks possible. And the greatness of the cameras on the new SE doesn't stop with still image photography. The true superhuman strength is on full display when you look at video quality. The rear cameras can shoot 4K video in 24, 25, 30, and 60 frames per second, and much like all of the other new iPhones, the footage looks exemplary. It's again pretty dang close with the quality coming out of the way more expensive flagship iPhones, and it's extraordinary that you get this level of video from a phone at this price point. So no doubt the cameras on the new SE are on point and far exceeded expectations, and by far my favorite part about this phone 1 month later. Now the other thing about the new iPhone SE that I've really enjoyed has been the size, which I understand not everyone is going to agree with me on, but I think if you were to actually buy the phone and use it for a month, you're going to start liking the size too. And this is going to be especially true if you've had an older iPhone in the past, like an iPhone 6, 7, or 8. It really does bring back some nostalgia, and it's really easy and quite comfortable jumping back into this form factor. The new SE probably provides the most comfortable UI navigation experience on any iPhone out there to date, and even though I had to retrain myself to use the home button, again, it was quick to put back into my muscle memory, and it's nice being able to zoom around iOS super fast. I find the new SE particularly great when I'm busy. In a weird way, it's more ideal for those who are all about productivity because you can get so many things done so quickly on this phone even while on the move. Touch ID doesn't require as much of your attention and it still works really well. It has a very slim and light profile, which makes it much better to put into a pocket, and it's way less clunky than the iPhone 13 Pro Max that I'm used to lugging around. Despite an old design, Apple doesn't compromise build quality on the new SE, and it's still a premium phone in that regard. And I gotta say, 1 month later, it's kind of refreshing using this tiny iPhone. It's pretty bare bones, but it definitely gets the job done, and I can understand why there's still such strong affinity towards this form factor. Now before we get into the components around the new iPhone SE that aren't my favorite, I want to give a big shout out to today's video sponsor, AG1 by Athletic Greens. AG1 is a comprehensive all-in-one foundational nutritional drink that provides 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients into one convenient daily serving. I've been using AG1 for about a few weeks now, and dude, it has completely taken over my morning routine, mainly because to me it's the fastest and simplest way to ensure that I'm giving my body the quality nutritional care that it deserves. And that's because each scoop of AG1 is essentially 9 health products in one, giving you the equivalent of a multivitamin, minerals, probiotics, and more, and all you need is 8 ounces of water to mix it in and you're ready to go. Drinking AG1 is so much more convenient than taking individual vitamins and supplements, and it actually tastes good. No lie, I was nervous about it the first time I tried, but it has this sweet candy-like taste that gets better over time, and I totally got my wife into it and she absolutely loves it. Now, the main reason I'm a fan of AG1 is that it helps me get some more energy throughout the day that doesn't get me all wired up and makes me crash later on. AG1 provides nutrients and phytonutrients that support and sustain healthy energy levels, which has led to real steady burn of energy for me, and it's been extremely helpful when I'm working on big projects that require a lot of focus. Like I said, it's only been a few weeks, but I legit look forward to waking up and drinking AG1 first thing in the morning now, mainly because the changes in my energy level have been so noticeable and it's just so convenient. If you guys are interested in checking out AG1 by Athletic Greens, use my link in the description and you'll get a 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D3K2 and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. Find out why so many people have changed their morning routines like me. Check out AG1 by Athletic Greens today. Okay, so we talked about the components of the new 2022 iPhone SE that make it good, but let's flip the coin here and talk about what makes this phone particularly bad, and let's start off with the display. So the first thing that you're going to immediately notice is how small it is for today's standards. It clocks in at a measly 4.7 inches, and yes, I understand I just went over how the new SE being small has been a good thing, but the way that this panel is integrated, it really does make it probably the least immersive screen on any new phone right now. You get a super dated forehead and chin that makes this phone look really old, and it makes consuming certain content just not as enjoyable. Watching videos and playing games is not going to be as immersive as you'd like them to be, and even just browsing the internet can become an eye-straining affair with the display this small. Now, I'm going to be honest, the next thing about the display that I think is fair to say is objectively bad doesn't really bother me that much from a user experience standpoint, and here I'm referring to the hardware itself. In 2022, it's using a sub 1080p LCD panel that clocks in at a pretty sad resolution of 1334 by 750, and is a very far cry from the Super Retina XDR OLED displays being used by the SE's bigger brothers. So you're not going to get the strongest contrast or the best brightness on this display, and you could see a pretty noticeable difference in quality here, especially when viewing HDR content. Now, are you going to really care? Honestly, probably not, because it still looks pretty good from a resolution standpoint. But it's fair to say that this technology is pretty dated, and it would have been nice to have seen an upgrade here in 2022. Okay, to continue on with the bad with the new iPhone SE, this one actually has more of an impact to me on a day-to-day perspective, and that's battery life. After 1 month of using this phone, I'm averaging on a good day around 5 hours of screen on time, but sometimes I'll only get around 4.5, and those numbers aren't so great. Now, it could be argued that I use my phone more than the average Joe, which I think is a fair assumption, but considering that smartphones are being leveraged more and more for everyday things in our lives now, we're likely going to depend on them more heavily over time. And when you have a phone that you're gonna need to charge up before the day is out, which I know was kind of a common thing not too long ago, that kind of issue has become a lot more stressful now. Reliability has become a major reason to go with one phone over the other, and even though this is an iPhone, the new SE doesn't have the highest score here when it comes to battery life, and to me that's a problem. Okay, so we talked about both the good and bad with the new 2022 iPhone SE, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the ugly, and it's not a feature or a specific component of the device itself, it's more what the SE represents that I find particularly irritating. And I say this because to me, there's nothing egregiously wrong with the phone, it's gonna work out fine for most people that decide to buy one, but if I'm gonna be straight up, there's not a lot that the new SE offers over the previous model that would make it compelling to buy. And yes, I know that argument could be made with a lot of the iterative updates iPhones go through, but considering that the SE isn't a phone that's refreshed every year, frankly, I was expecting more. And the fact that we got a phone that has basically no innovation or meaningful change, and on top of that a more expensive price tag, all I'm left feeling is that Apple really doesn't care about this form factor or its users. Like seriously, how much time and energy do you think went into the new SE? Probably not much at all, and that's ultimately what's the ugly behind this phone. Apple is hoping to keep generating cash off of bare minimal work, and as consumers, I think we deserve a lot better. But hey, that could be me way overthinking something as trivial as an iPhone, so let me know what you guys think. Are you a fan of the new iPhone SE? Or are you as disappointed as I am? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, that's about it for this review. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you guys found it useful. Again, I'd really appreciate it. Check out these other reviews if you're looking for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.